It's about the restoration of our republic. We want to educate, encourage, enable the power. We stand for integrity, honesty, self-reliance, self-defense, and most importantly, no compromise on our foundational principles. This is America's Voice Now.
Find America's Voice Now on Facebook and at americasvoicenow.org. Here's Michael Evans.
All right. We're back. You know, funny thing happened yesterday to Jim Angle from Fox News. He called the 800 toll-free number for Obamacare, and he called it from an unlisted telephone number. Now, he doesn't specify whether it was his home number or whether it was a number at Fox News or what. But he says, called the 800 number for Obamacare from an unlisted number to ask questions, and they refused. They knew that he was from the media. He says, I called the healthcare.gov 800 number, gave my name and address, then I was put on hold. The guy comes back and says, you appear to be in the media. How did they know? I have no idea, but he wouldn't answer questions. He told me he would have, quote, an advanced resolution specialist call me in 2 to 5 business days. Interesting. So he calls up healthcare.gov on a toll-free number. He gives them his name and his address. They pull him up out of a database. They know whether they pulled it up from his phone number or his name or whatever they pulled it up from. Suddenly, the question is, what? Are you trying to tell me that people from the media aren't entitled to health care? Really? Are they screening people with certain names? I mean, really, you got to, the absurdity of this is just out of control. I saw one guy who posted a thing up. He said, where is it now? I got to find it. I put it up on Facebook. I saw a quote from one guy that was kind of funny in this regard. He says, translation, advanced resolution specialist, a half dozen guys in armor carrying M4s. I mean, you got to wonder, right? Is that healthcare.gov's idea of an advanced resolution specialist? Hoot, hoot, hoot. I wonder if Jim will get a visit. There was a fellow who logged into healthcare.gov. His name is Justin Hadley. He logged into, this is in the Foundry. It's a website that's from Heritage. He went to evaluate his insurance options after his health plan was canceled. He got one of the cancellation letters. Oh, I'm sorry, the transition letters. You're not canceled. We're just transitioning you into an early grave while we transition your money from your account into ours. It's all about transition, baby. You get it? We're transitioning all of your personal information into our data storage center in Utah, the one that's lit on fire 13 times. Anyway, he called into healthcare.gov to evaluate the options for his health plan after it was canceled by his insurance company. He got a transition letter. Well, here's the kicker. He got a response, an eligibility letter, and it was addressed to somebody else. I was in complete shock, says Hadley. He's a guy from North Carolina, and he buys his insurance now on the individual market. So his insurance company is Blue Cross Blue Shield of North Carolina, and when they gave him his cancellation, a.k.a. transition letter, they directed him to Healthcare.gov back in September. So multiple times he tried to access the site. Multiple times he tried to register. Finally, he got in. And this was only on Thursday, right? Now, he got this letter back in September. Since then, he's been trying. But on Thursday, he got through. That's when he was greeted with downloadable letters about eligibility. Except they were for two other people who lived in South Carolina, and he lives in North Carolina. Wow. The letters were dated October 8th. Now, that's interesting because he only got in last Thursday, which was clearly after October 8th. Right? So here he is registering, 2-3 weeks after somebody else. They issued a letter of acknowledgement and receipt of an application for somebody else, and they give it to him. That's really bad. The letters, which were dated October 8th, acknowledged the receipt of an application to the health insurance marketplace and the eligibility for family members to purchase health coverage. One of the letters was addressed to a guy by the name of Thomas Dougal. He's a lawyer from Elgin, South Carolina. Would happen to be that they messed this up and did it to a lawyer, right? I hope he's a federal attorney. Hadley shared a screenshot and a copy of the letter, but he redacted the names, obviously, because he was trying to protect this guy. Hadley wrote to Heritage on Thursday night, and he contacted the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. Now, remember, Dougal is the guy who Hadley got Dougal's letter, right? So he wrote to heritage.org and spilled the beans on this, and he contacted U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and he was trying to get a hold of somebody to give him some answers. He hasn't heard back from HHS yet, and they're still displaying Dougal's personal information in his account. Wow. So he notified them that something was wrong, and they haven't even corrected it yet. He could log in there, take Dougal's information, and go sign up for credit in his name. Maybe get absorb or take Dougal's identity. He finally got a hold of the guy Dougal on Friday and notified him of the breach. Then, of course, Heritage called Dougal and asked him, what the story was, and he said he was evaluating healthcare options in early October. Dougal said he was able to register, but he declined to sign up for insurance. Here's what he said. The plans they offered were grossly expensive and didn't even provide the level of care that I have now, in other words, through his existing insurance. Dougal said he never saw the October 8th letter. In other words, he abandoned his account because he said, hey, this isn't going to work. There's no point in my doing this because I can't see any value in it. And yet, the letter was issued, but not to him, to the other guy. After learning of the privacy breach, Dougal spent Friday evening trying to contact representatives from healthcare.gov, all to no avail. He actually spent an hour waiting on the telephone, and he tried an online chat session, but that wasn't helpful. He contacted Senator Lindsey Graham, Tim Scott, and Representative Joe Wilson. Here's Dougal's comment. This is all he has to say. I want my personal information off that website. Gotta like that. I did an entire special about, a week or so, if you want to go back through the records on YouTube, about how there was no security testing that had been done to Obamacare, that they were actually going to test it the night before they went live. That experts everywhere were saying, this isn't going to work. There's no security tests that are being done. Everything has been pushed back to the 24-hour window before it goes live October 1st. Everything's going to get tested in the tail end of September. And I told you then how dangerous that was. Well, the Associated Press last week opened up and exposed a government memo that revealed the high security risk for healthcare.gov. And that's their words, not ours. High security risk. When Congress met with Sebelius and had her testify the other day, they asked her about it. And an HHS spokeswoman, Joanne Peters, told the Associated Press, When consumers fill out their online applications, they can trust that the information they're providing is protected by stringent security standards and that the technology underlying the application process has been tested and is secure. That was a bald-faced lie. They knew it wasn't secure. They went online with it anyway. They knew. And by the way, Sebelius said in an open hearing that they had no choice because by law they were required to go on October 1. They could not delay it. And yet, that was another lie. And frankly, I can't imagine that Congress isn't going to hold her accountable for perjury. Because the truth is, what the law actually said is that it has to go online October 1st, but that it is subject to to HHS's final determination and decision. In other words, they had the authority to say, listen, folks, this just isn't ready. We had some snafus in security, and we're going to hold this thing off for a month. So that was a lie by Sebelius. And I want somebody in Congress to hold her accountable. The truth is, everything that you input into this system is vulnerable to hackers, identity thieves. It's vulnerable to people who work within the administration itself, within the healthcare, the healthcare overall picture, whether they're in healthcare.gov or the IRS or SSI or any of the other agencies that are involved in this. Not to mention, literally, untold numbers of independent consultants who have access to all of your information. I mean, it's like saying that, if you leave something sitting there in full view, that it's secure. Of course it isn't. There was a guy by the name of Steve Bucci. He is the director for the Douglas and Sarah Allison Center for Foreign Policy Studies, and he's a cybersecurity expert. Here's what he has to say about it. If a doctor's receptionist speaks too loudly in public about personal information so that other people can hear it, it's a violation of the law. But once it goes out over the system, it's vulnerable. There appears to have been a singular lack of concern for security. The site needs to receive and transmit sensitive personal information, yet it has less than state-of-the-art security. Functionality and security have to be a hallmark of programs like this one. The site has failed on both counts and has further weakened the confidence of the American people. So Mr. Hadley, the guy who tried to register up but got other people's letters, he's unsure what to do next. He can't contact anybody in the Department of Health and Human Services because they won't respond back to him. And he's had a lack of response from his own elected representatives. Well, that's not surprising, is it? Dougal, the attorney in South Carolina, who's the victim here, he says he's grateful that Hadley made the call to him. But he said he's had the same experience with HHS. He can't get a hold of anybody over there. So anyway, Hadley, the guy who registered in, he's gone on there. Now, he had a plan that was canceled, right? He was transitioned, quote unquote. And so he's found out that they've offered to auto-enroll him in a new health insurance plan. Here's the problem. His monthly premiums would increase by 92%, and his deductible will double. Furthermore, he actually doesn't qualify for any subsidies. And he says, I don't want to continue right now because of the privacy breach. Because, well, and of course, the problem is, Mr. Hadley, I hate to tell you, but the damage has already been done. All your information is already in the system. So is Mr. Dougal's. Hadley actually comes out and says, if I have their information, meaning Dougal and the other guy, they don't name the other person, then who else has my information? Very, very valid question. The truth of the problem here is that this is an enormous waste of our time, our money, our effort, our energy, and our nation's resources. This thing was doomed from the start. Remember that the way it was done was all on one party. It was done with chicanery and trickery, skullduggery. The Harry Reid and the Democrats pushed this through on parlor trick type methodologies in Congress that would enable them to pass something they knew was bad for America. I'm not saying make sure that you don't vote for a Democrat anymore. I'm not saying that you shouldn't vote for a Republican anymore. I'm saying going forward, all of them should be removed. Every last one of them, without exception, and the entire Congress should be repopulated with individuals who are willing to stand up and say, I will do the right thing. I will serve one term in order to get this thing restarted, and I will be willing to sign a liquidated damage clause that states that if I betray the tenants to a contract, that I will automatically be removed. I waive my right to stay in office if I betray the tenets of the contract which I've given to the people of my state. And then the first job that new Congress should do is repeal the 17th Amendment and again allow our senators to be chosen and elected and appointed by state legislatures. Enough with the nonsense, enough with the gamesmanship. That's a plan of action that can act. Why can we not get every talk radio host in the country to collectively get together, every conservative one at any rate, everyone who truly cares about the United States of America and is not interested in trying to move us down towards socialistic, fascistic, communistic, whatever you want to call it. Why can we not get the resources together and everybody have the same argument and mantra? I'm talking about Rush. I'm talking about Hannity. I'm talking about Ingram, Savage, Mark Levin. All of these guys collectively together. Andrea Tantaros. And collectively put together a pool of resources, both financial and human, working with groups like the Tea Party, the Constitution Party, the Libertarian Party, to put out on national media an ad campaign that says, seeking new candidates for the replacement of the constitutional republic of the United States of America. Find individuals who have the willingness and the strength and the courage of their convictions and the dedication to sign an agreement, be vetted, be qualified, and sign an agreement that says, I will stand and do my duty for one term. And then go back to what our Constitution gave us the pathway and the leadership and the guidance to do, which is put a brand new Congress in place. Brand new. Anybody who's been in there before, you're not welcome. Each of these individuals can and should sign off on a series of commitments and promises that they will keep. I've actually outlined some of them, and I don't have them all in front of me, and I don't want to make this that whole issue. But I'm more than willing, if you as a listener have a great idea on some of those things that you'd like to see, I'd be more than happy to address it with you. You can reach me by sending me an email to mike@americasvoicenow.org. That's mike@americasvoicenow.org. The truth is that we have to take collective action as a large group, as a massive civil disobedient body, and say, we've had enough with this. But it's going to take us to do it. If we're not willing to do that, then, you know, we don't really have we don't really have the ability to lead our own destiny. I would like to see a collective group of people who would be willing to stand up and say, I am one of those people. I'm a qualified candidate for the new Republic of the United States of America. And the contract should incorporate a single term, no lobbying money, act in strict accordance with the Constitution, verifiably seal our borders, return the Treasury back to the fiscal responsibility for the nation, eliminate all federal administrative agencies that aren't constitutionally authorized, repeal the 17th Amendment. I mean, eliminate the Federal Reserve, end it, repeal Obamacare, impeach the president. These are the types of things that we can do before this thing grows beyond our ability to control it. If you listen to other radio hosts, if you have access to any of these other individuals, the Glenn Becks of the world and all of those folks, well, get this idea out to them. Or help me refine it so that we can get it out and get it to somebody like the Heritage Org or somebody else like that. If not that, the Cato Institute. If not that, some other group. The point is, I'm one guy and I don't have a national platform. But, you know, if this is not a grassroots effort that will take root and grow, then the alternative is we go until what? They declare that we're you know, they're in absolute total dictatorial control. And then what do we do? I mean, already there are Democrats who are claiming and declaring that this thing should be allowed to that all doctors should be forced to take Medicaid and Medicare, and that will solve the problem. Hey, I mean, it's not bad enough that you've taken over all of the health care and that you've taken control of 1/6 of the economy of the nation. But now you're going to turn around and make doctors dictatorially accept? Come on, man. Enough's enough. You've been listening to America's Voice Now. We're going to take a quick break. When we return, we're going to tackle our fourth and final topic this morning, and that is President Obama's self-inflicted mortal wound to our nation. Yeah, he did it again. He signed another executive order, and this one is related to preparing for the impact of global warming. Well, let me tell you, I've had it with the guy who is abusing his authority. He has become a dictator for all intents and purposes. And the end goal of this entire administration is the utter destruction and the desolation of this nation. And he has hijacked the post of commander-in-chief. We're going to take a break. When we return, we'll tackle that topic, and you can find it posted up on our Facebook page and on our website, and on you'll have this video, of course, on YouTube. You've been listening to America's Voice Now. My name is Michael Evans. I'm the host here. I would ask that you find our website, americasvoicenow.org. Go onto our Facebook page. If you have an account on Facebook, hit the like button. If you don't have an account on Facebook page, it's a public site, so you can still go out there and read all the stories and the articles. You may not be able to comment and so forth and so on, but you can at least read all the different stuff that's up there and comments by others. You can also find this and every other program that we do at YouTube.com/America's Voice Now. And also we'll be posting podcasts of every show that we do going forward. We've just signed on with a new podcast service that will enable us to incorporate podcasting into every program that we do, and those will be available for you to not only listen to live, but also download. Appreciate you listening to us. Stick with us for a moment. We'll be right back.